Welcome to the RotoWire DFS show. We're talking Saturday's 5-game slate at DraftKings. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Jordan Cooper and Ryan Belongia. Jordan, so this is it. This is your final show of the season. You're going away. This is it. So there's 2 more
Going away?
weeks
You sound
left.
like I'm going to prison.
You are. You're going away. So you're going to be in Alaska next weekend. Can you play in Alaska next weekend? Also, how many King of the Pitch tickets do you have going into the final couple weeks here?
Well, I can't play in Alaska, so on that Saturday, that I don't think it's legalized in Alaska. So I'll be on a cruise. I mean, you can't even access DraftKings site on the cruise Wi-Fi, so like it's blocked. Like it's not DraftKings blocked; it's Carnival blocked. So no, I will not be playing next week, but the week after. I've been assured by DraftKings VIP hosts that my tickets will be auto redeemed, so I can edit them in Las Vegas on that Sunday morning. I'll have to get up even earlier than I would normally because the 3-hour time difference. But I still just have 4. Maybe I'll get a 5th one. Maybe I'll get a 5th one tomorrow. Maybe.
Yeah, I know you're not grinding in the showdown and 2-game lobby like all of us over here. So
also I don't play like the $5 ones. I don't like typically I'm trying. I try to get in with the 150s, the 23-man 150s.
Yeah, so we got a couple. We got the 150 this weekend, and we got seems like there's a $5 one every weekend now. Maybe there are some midweek $25 ones in Champions League, but Ryan, you haven't had to worry about King of the Pitch for a while, but what's been going on for you? I know you had a rough patch for a little bit. Did you turn things around in Champions League, or how are things going?
No, I did not really turn things around in Champions League. Lucky that I've had 8 tickets for so long now, or else I would have just kept losing or lost even more. Because I don't think I would have been getting any of these most recent tickets. Yeah, it's been a rough month,
We'll get it back. We got 2 weeks to get it back here. So
yeah, nice to have King of the Pitch to look forward to as well. But yeah, maybe we can put a couple wins together before that.
So all I can tell you about my King of the Pitch strategy is it's going to be very similar to what I normally do. So just a preview if there's anyone on the slate that's like plus 150 or better to score, or like plus 120, minus 110, that's like under like 10%. I try to play as many of them as possible. Basically, I want to play good players that can't score goals that people aren't playing. And then hopefully, if the chalk doesn't hit all over the place, like I've multiple shots. When you have a 6% on guy in the King of the Pitch that could potentially score 2 goals, like it gives you just so much ground on everyone else that I try to go by, can I get 2 of those guys in my lineup? So I have 2 shots rather than, have the lowest owned player in my lineup be like 22% owned.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Odegaard was the key for me last year at 3%. At somebody else around 10%. But yeah, that's all you need.
That's all you need. So Saturday slate, I think it's going to be a fun one. We don't have Manchester City. I think maybe the last couple was Manchester City, but I'm just going to go through really quickly. So every team doesn't have something to play for, and I think that might be relevant here. So Southampton, they're sitting on the bottom table. They still need points. They need to win. Fulham have nothing to play for. Manchester United still playing for the top 4 spot. Wolverhampton, Lopetegui already said that he's going to rotate somewhere. So I'm just completely avoiding Wolverhampton. I know they're the biggest underdog on the slate, so everyone's going to avoid them. But in case you got Pedro Neto or something, I think there could be 5 substitutes at the 45th minute mark, something stupid like that. So I just kind of avoid them. Crystal Palace, nothing to play for. Bournemouth, not really anything to play for either. Those teams are safe. Chelsea, nothing to play for. Nottingham Forest still need points, fighting, I think, 3 points above relegation. Aston Villa, Tottenham are fighting for 6th place in the table, and Tottenham have a 3-point lead. So that should be a fun match. But we got Manchester United, 67% favorite. Chelsea, 64% favorite. And before I shoot over to you guys, the big news, I think, this morning was that Marcus Rashford is, I forget the exact quote, but I think he's a big doubt for this game. That doesn't mean he's not going to play, but Erik ten Hag could be lying to us. But I removed him from the starting 11. if someone's a big doubt, you got to think that they're not completely healthy, but we'll see what happens there. So how are we just going to deal with this Manchester United situation will be a talking point as they're the biggest favorite. But I guess we'll get into forwards here. Rashford's 9,400, maybe not for cash games, but if he starts, how much are you putting into this injury for him that he's a big doubt? He's really questionable for this game. Is this going to affect like how you play in your tournaments at all, or are you just avoiding him anyway?
I'd avoid him anyway. I mean, from a cash game perspective, I don't think you need to play anyone from Man United. I mean,
you're not a Bruno Donk, is that?
No, I'm not a Bruno Donk. No, I don't think you need to. I mean, I don't. I mean, at his price, I know they're the biggest favorite, but the production goes around everywhere, and they're priced up. I mean, like truthfully, the most appealing player on Man United is Anthony Martial if Rashford doesn't start and he plays up top because he's only 6,300 and he's going to end up with the highest goal scoring odds, right? I mean, not like absurd goal scoring odds, but I mean, why not 6,300? I mean, it's goal dependent, sure, but I'd much rather play a $6,300 Martial than a $9,400 Rashford. And then their front line that are all forward eligible, like Sancho and Anthony, like they typically don't play 90. And they're not necessarily the greatest. I mean, Man United isn't that great of a peripheral-based team. You have Eriksen out there. So, like, the set pieces with Shaw, Eriksen, Bruno, they get spread around. I just think on a 5-game slate, we have options everywhere else that outside of you playing for goals, I don't necessarily think Man United are great floor options.
Right. So I assume you're kind of in that same path there. I was going to throw it to you because the first lineup I did really quickly, I put the top 3 Crystal Palace guys into my lineup. Is that too crazy? You are the Crystal Palace whisperer. So is that crazy? How many Crystal Palace guys are you looking at here on this slate?
Are we talking for cash games?
Let's talk for cash games first. Eze is 8,700. Zaha is 8K. So I almost think that those guys are, I think they're both in play actually for cash games.
I don't think Zaha is really in play for cash games. I mean,
okay.
I mean, not at 8K. I mean, look, you have a guy like Jordan said in Martial. You have the same thing for the same price in Mitrovic. So, I mean, you would play those goal-dependent center forwards over Zaha, just because of the salary. Eze, maybe Eze. I mean, forward's tough. I mean, I don't know if you want to spend money there because of the options at midfield. I think, this is a tough slate. You got to decide on Bruno versus Olise versus Ward-Prowse. You got to decide whether to play one or two of those guys. And, what you do at forward is going to be affected by that. I think, it all depends what you think of United. Like Jordan said, you don't really need to play any, but I would want to play Shaw if he's starting at left back. And maybe Bruno, maybe Martial, but I don't think Bruno's a must with the other midfielders. So, I just don't think there's a lot of clear decisions. I don't know. Maybe you guys feel differently.
No, you kind of agree with that. I mean, Morgan Gibbs-White is 8,900 at Chelsea, which is kind of extreme price, but it is Chelsea, and this is not dominant Chelsea. He's another set piece taker in there. Willian is 9,600. It's another kind of extreme price. I don't know how much DraftKings built into the recent five goal match that Fulham had, but that's kind of coming into play there. Otherwise, at forward, I mean, we have the goal odds of a Martial. We have Mitrovic is back from an 8-match ban. I'm not sure how much you put into, fitness and that kind of thing. Mitrovic coming back, I don't know how long has he been out, more than a month. He's been out because of this ban. I think it was before the last international break, but 6,500 against Southampton isn't the worst thing there is. Otherwise, what are we looking at here, Jordan?
You didn't mention two guys that I'm more likely than the ones that you mentioned to have in my cash lineup.
Sulemana for Southampton?
No, of course not. First off, I want to talk about a little. Just mention Willian. With Pereira out, Willian's on a majority of set pieces. They'll probably split with Kearney if Kearney is in. He probably doesn't play. I mean, he's older, so he probably doesn't play 90. And Fulham really doesn't have anything really pertinent to play for. I think his floor is there, but I'm not. If I had to choose between Willian and Olise at 9,300, I'm going to play Olise over Willian, but he does fill a forward spot. So I couldn't fault you. He has a floor. He could get you 10 points. That's no problem. The forwards I'm really looking at, like, I prefer Mitrovic over Martial, assuming that Mitrovic could play 90 minutes. Since it was a ban and not an injury, I have to assume he's fit. I'm assuming that he'll play as long as he wants to play. It's just that Mitrovic shoots more, especially with Pereira not in the central midfield anymore. I think he'll have more chance of getting the ball. So, but just understand, it's still gold. I mean, for him to score over 10 points, you're probably going to need a goal or an assist. But the same thing could be said for Martial. But if you prefer one over the other, if you're like, no, I'm going to play Martial over Mitrovic in cash, I'm talking about in one of these spots, flip a coin. I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. But the floor guys in that range that I may prefer more are Nani Madueke for Chelsea at 6,900. He probably doesn't play 90, but it's 80 to 85. On the wing, playing against Nottingham Forest at home, he does eat up peripherals. So, like, I don't mind that even without any set pieces. And the same exact type of player is Dango Ouattara for Bournemouth. That he's been playing. He played 90 the past two matches. So, like, at 6,400 against Crystal Palace in a mostly kind of semi-pick'em type of matchup. So, I mean, it's not tough. Like, I don't mind 6,400 for him, but it's just a matter of how you prioritize floors over ceilings. Obviously, Mitrovic and Martial have higher ceilings, but I mean, Nani, Madueke, and Ouattara, like, I prefer playing them over Zaha at 8K or, Rashford at 9,400 or Willian at 96. Like, just paying up, it just feels like why should we be paying up at forward at all when we have, a high-priced defender we probably want to play and at least one high-priced midfielder we want to play?
Ryan, what do you think about those guys? What do you think about Madueke and Ouattara just in these matchups here? You think I wasn't really looking at those guys for cash, but I guess if you want like the 5 to 8 point floors, I guess it's there.
It's tough to trust Chelsea. I mean, we know, like, I can't stand Chelsea. Madueke, he seems fine, but I think, it was Jordan's last point for me. I don't really care about a couple extra floor points. Like, the guys that have, like, who's got the chance to score 2 goals, like Jordan said about ceiling. I mean, Martial or Mitrovic could show up with 2 goals, like, pretty easily.
Well, would you play both of them together in cash,
as opposed to like one of them and Madueke and Django?
Yeah.
I don't see the difference. I guess, like, I'm not confident in Madueke or Katara giving me 10 points. If I was, then maybe I'd feel differently.
Well, if like, I can see them getting you 10 points, they wouldn't be that cheap.
Well, so what? I could, like, if you're telling me like 8 points from one of them and I'm only going to get like 5 from Martial or Mitrovic, I mean, I got to take the center forwards that can score more goals.
Yeah, but Madueke and Dango could be getting on the score sheet also.
I think Madueke has some upside. I don't mind that. Maybe Madueke is a better play in that range. I don't know.
Against Nottingham Forest, if he goes 80 to 85 minutes, I mean,
I know it's just hard for me to trust Chelsea. I mean, they have, so many attackers on the bench too. But yeah, it's a good matchup. Mitrovic, yeah, I think he's fully fit to go 90 for sure. Like you said, the one worry is Carlos Vinicius has been playing his best football of the season. I hate to say it, but I think the one thing that could, maybe Mitrovic doesn't go 90 is if Vinicius comes in for him. I don't know, just something.
Maybe Mitrovic is back and he doesn't even start.
It's possible only because
does Fulham need points? Fulham's fine. Fulham, who cares?
Yeah, they're fine.
It seems weird, but yeah, it's possible because Vinicius has been playing well.
So Marco Silva actually made a point to say that Vinicius has been playing well in his press conference. So if he starts, would you be as comfortable playing Vinicius here, who is cheaper than Mitrovic? Would you be like, okay, Mitrovic isn't in, so I'll just go down to Vinicius?
No, no, it's
Okay.
not like that. I mean, he's definitely been noticeably better, but I mean, if
Yeah.
he starts, it's not going to surprise you if he plays 50 minutes and scores 2 points,
Yeah.
Jack bringing up Eze, I see here. I think Eze is the best spend up option. I agree with him there if you want to spend up. I think you get a few set pieces. What about that penalty kick? Jack says he took a penalty 2 weeks ago. Was that over Zaha? Maybe. Zaha missed his last one, I know.
It might have been.
I think, it's a really good spot for Crystal Palace. At least on paper it is. Bournemouth have been better lately, but yeah, I wouldn't mind Eze.
Eze was the first one in for me, and I actually played him last week. So he's began to take corners and split corners with Michael Elise. Previously, it was Elise was basically on every corner kind of thing, and then you also have the free kicks from the pitch. Jack is saying Zaha was playing when he took that PK, so you throw in PKs with Eze, and I looked at just recent numbers. Eze's upside, even though he's technical, this midfielder role, he is getting shots in every match. He is getting up there. And then you throw in a split of set pieces, home against Bournemouth, one of the best spots of the season. I think I just like him more than pretty much anyone else. I mean, he's 1K cheaper than Bruno. He's cheaper than James Ward-Prowse, who we're going to have a discussion on. He's cheaper than Elise, and I think he has more upside than Elise too. So why don't we just go Eze with one of the forward spots?
Calling him EZE. I thought it's EZE.
Well, you didn't say him. That's what you say. But okay, well, EZE. All right.
I get your point, but I mean, other than his value comes primarily in filling a forward spot, I'd still much rather play those other midfielders than Eze.
Who though? You'd rather play Elise?
I'd rather play Elise than Eze.
Why though? If they're splitting,
he's on a majority of set pieces and he plays 90 minutes.
You could play both.
I don't know if you fit both of those guys in.
I mean, I already said I fit all three in. So why do you think Elise has majority set pieces? 2 games ago, Eze took 7 free kicks, had 7 free kick crosses compared to 6. I mean, I don't think it's a guarantee that Elise has, majority, because we know Eze takes free kicks in addition to some of the corners.
Plays higher up on the pitch. He draws more fouls.
But I don't think that, like, you look at EZE's numbers, and I think he's still taking just as many, if not more, shots than Elise. So
Elise has the highest average floor on the entire slate, based on a perm 90 basis.
Yes,
we look on the cheat sheet, 13.47 for Elise.
I think you guys are both
10.07, and the price difference. You guys
both are making some correct points. Adam, yeah, I think regardless of where they play on the pitch, Eze is the one with more goal upside from open play. I do agree with you, but Elise has the higher floor, obviously, and probably takes a few more sets, but you're right, like an even split isn't going to surprise anybody.
Well, I think if we take the overall season numbers for these guys, I mean, Eze hasn't been taking corners like consistently like Elise. I mean, he did for the first couple months of the season. So, I mean, you could throw out a lot of these numbers because we've seen him take corners in recent matches. So, I guess maybe on the basis that maybe Elise is more set to take corners, and Eze is kind of unpredictable if he's going to be on one side of them. I mean, on that basis, but we have seen him.
I'm not anti-Eze. I'm just more pro Elise. Like, dude, once we get to GPPs, my favorite game on the slate is Crystal Palace Bournemouth. I mean, like, dude, you're highlighting the guy that I want to play in GPPs, but not into having my cash line.
Yeah, and then we get to my original strategy, plug Zaha in because he's going to score. So we're golden. No, it's not how it works. So,
are there any other forwards for cash, Ryan, other than what we've talked about?
Oh, you guys going to play Son? Why is Son 8,200 still?
Yeah, no, not going to play Son. Are there any other forwards? I don't know, Jordan. What how would you compare Sterling to Madueke?
I don't think Sterling plays,
but he
think
might.
If Sterling starts, I can't be like. I almost feel like Madueke has more of a shot at going 85 than Sterling does.
Okay, well, let's just this will be sort of a transition, but
because like you have like Mudryk.
So that's what I'm going to say. Yeah,
Mudryk, they're taking set pieces with Chilwell out.
Right.
I don't even know if he plays more than 60, 65 minutes ever.
Mudryk?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just mean if he didn't start, I've just seen other projected lineups. If he didn't start, it would probably be Sterling instead, and Sterling taking the set pieces.
Yeah, but I think Sterling's more likely to come off at 65 for Madueke than Madueke not.
Sorry, Sterling over Mudryk.
Oh, yeah, one of the two. I think Mudryk comes in. I think these guys, the thing, like you mentioned about Chelsea, it's hard to trust Chelsea because they have all these attackers. I just think that if it lines up with Mudryk, Havertz, and Madueke up top, out of the three, I mean, obviously Havertz is the most goal dependent, so I put him out of the cash conversation. I think it's more likely that Nani Mudeki plays longer than Mudryk, and if Sterling is in, one of those guys comes in for Sterling. So like I look at their team and I go, who comes in for Mudeki? Probably Ziyech, right? Out of anyone, like. If you don't want to trust Chelsea because of the minutes, I understand. Dude, if you told me, Ryan, if I guaranteed you 90 minutes from Noni Madueke, wouldn't you play him in cash?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So really all we're arguing about is what the minutes are going to be like.
What I'm saying is,
you don't trust the minutes and you think that maybe he comes off at 60, maybe you're absolutely right. You shouldn't be paying 6,900.
No. Okay, yeah, I agree with you for all that. So my question is, if Mudryk starts, are you going to play him?
No, because he's probably going to come out at 60 minutes.
So you don't want 60 minutes of Chelsea set pieces for like a pretty cheap price?
I don't think I need them. I think I'm building my lineup in a way where I don't even need that guy. And he's going to be interesting because we're going to get into midfield. There are like a lot of guys in like that 5K-ish range that are playable in cash. And if you want to say, okay, I'm gonna take Mudryk over that 5K, which includes Shaw at defender also at 5,500, like I could give you that. Just understand that his range of outcomes is going to be wider because of the minutes situation. But like, yeah, now we're going on the midfield. Like, who would you trust more, Mudryk at 5,700 or McGinn playing as a winger with either like Dendaka or Kamara in for 5,300 against Tottenham?
What about Tom Kearney for 4,500?
Okay, well, but Kearney probably won't play 90 either. But McGinn like always plays 90. I mean, like McGinn rarely ever comes out. And I'm talking about McGinn not playing as a defensive midfield. I'm talking about if they line up in a way where you got Luiz and either Dendaka or Abubakar Kamara back there, so McGinn could actually play in an attacking role. Like at 5,300 as a home favorite against Tottenham, like I prefer 90 McGinn minutes splitting set pieces with Luiz than like all the Chelsea set pieces for 60 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Probably safer. No, yeah, probably safer. So do you want two expensive midfielders or two of these 5K guys?
Probably two of the five. My construction I'm leaning towards is to play one expensive midfielder and then two 5K range, 4,500 to 6,000 range players, which one of them obviously could include Shaw at 5,500. Like I'm leaning towards Olise, McGinn, something. And then like Porro and then one of the Chelsea fullbacks in my defender spots.
You must be spending up at goalkeeper because you have a lot of money. You're spending down.
Oh, maybe you pay for De Gea or Kepa, maybe. I don't see in the midfield range between Olise, Ward-Prowse, and for Bruno, Ward-Prowse, Olise, like there's like a draw. Like there's no one. It feels. I mean, I don't know about you. It's just like between those guys and like 6K, there's like nothing there. So it's like if you, I have an extra 1,000. There's nothing to spend. There's nothing to spend it on. Right in this mid range, like you're not playing Harry Wilson at 7,400, right? You're not playing. I mean, do you play Conor Gallagher at 6,500? I don't know about that, right? It feels like either you're going way up or you're way down. And if you play two of these 9, if you go something like Olise Ward-Prowse or Olise Fernandez or Fernandez Ward-Prowse or whatever, I think that really hampers your lineup in other spots. Like, I don't know what the hell you're doing at forward, and I don't know how you get Porro in at defender. Like, it gets kind of dicey in that type of construction. So that's why I'm leaning towards 1 9K midfielder and then 2 mid-range midfielders, and I could go down at 1 defender spot if I want.
So if just thinking of possible lineups here, for the chance that people actually do spend up at midfield. Jordan, do you think people will play? Fulham have nothing to play for. There's a chance Bobby De Cordova-Reid could start again. He would be a $3,500 forward. He would be a dinky. He would be a dinky option. He's down there. Diego Costa's 3,900, but also without Weghorst, he started last match. He could start if Rashford isn't available as well. He's 4,200. So you have these super cheap guys. Do you think people are actually going to go down there so they can do the Olise, Bruno? No, you don't think it's worth it for?
No, I don't think it's worth it. But I mean, I'm not even sure if people do that.
Okay.
Like you asked me, do you think people do that? I don't even think people do. I don't think that's going to be.
I was thinking people would do that. People love spending down on forwards.
I think people would click boot for 42.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I'm pretty sure people would click that.
Not in. I'm talking about cash games more than.
I'm talking about cash too.
Yeah, I still think they would.
People are thinking about Martial, Mitrovic, all these other guys we talked about. 42.
If Wood starts at 4,200, I could see it. Does I mean? You can't see him playing more than 60 minutes. I mean,
no. I'm not saying it's a good play. No. I'm just saying people.
I mean, dude, playing Weghorst is like playing. I mean, you're playing Chris Wood. You're playing 55 minutes of Chris Wood.
I mean, you just look at the odds. He has the same odds basically as Ollie Watkins, better odds than Kai Havertz, better odds than Zaha.
I get it. Just if he does not score in 55 minutes, you're going to sit there with like a half a point, right? Because he's going to have 2 fouls. He's going to pull off a Cavani. He's going to have 2 fouls drawn, a yellow card, and then 3 shots, and that's you're done.
You don't have to sell less, but I think the train might be on Weghorst.
Train. The train's gonna be on it.
They always do something weird that they get a goal out of. So at just in terms of these Fulham guys, do we think so? If Mitrovic starts, are these guys going to cross a little more? Because Vinicius not really the same kind of player as Mitrovic. It seems like, when Mitrovic on there, it's fine. It's like, let's launch in crosses. Let's get it on Mitrovic's head. Do you think maybe that increases the crossing, the floors of these Fulham guys? Or is that just thinking about it too much a little bit there, Ryan?
I think Vinicius is actually somewhat similar in that they try to cross it. He's good in the air, and they look for him in that way as well. So I wouldn't think it's too much of a difference.
Okay.
Matchup against Southampton seems decent though.
Yeah. So against Southampton. Yes.
I mean, just decent for, having some of the ball and putting crosses in.
Yeah, so looking at these cheaper midfielders, I mean, there's just a lot of iffy guys. We have Kearney down here who hasn't really shown a great floor in his couple matches, though he did score. He got a brace the last game. Paulinho has actually had a better floor than Kearney the last couple games. He's 4,600.
Before we go into the cheap midfielders, can we just quickly touch upon the 3 9K guys? And
yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I would rank them Elise. Elise to me is above the other two. And if you wanted to rank like Bruno over Ward-Prowse, I could understand it. I think Bruno has more like upside and Ward-Prowse may have a higher floor. But if you want to sell me on the fact that Southampton needs points and they're going to play much more attacking, I could get on the Ward-Prowse bandwagon. But I mean, if you take a look at the past like sample of the past 10 games, like Southampton have not played well, and it shows in Ward-Prowse's game logs that, he's getting a lot of 4s and 6s, and, that the way that they're playing, that unless they're generating 14 corners or something and free kick opportunities, like I'm concerned about him. Bruno, I'm just more concerned that like, oh, he could go out there and play 90 minutes and only score, 6 points because he doesn't do anything else. But like Man United are the biggest favorite on the slate. So like he could easily get 2 assists and a goal. I mean, like he could easily get that, while Ward-Prowse may not. And then Elise I just feel comfortable. You plug Elise and I think I could get 15 points. Like, and if he gets on the score sheet, like you're gonna need him now. Right. So I rank Elise 1, Bruno 2, and Ward-Prowse 3.
Ryan, what do you got?
I think that was a pretty good breakdown. Yeah, Ward-Prowse would be third for me. Like Jordan said, just look at the last 10 games. I mean, we were debating on Ward-Prowse at, what was he last week? Like 6,400 or something. I mean, back to 9K. Come on. Not over those other guys. Although Matt in the chat says he goes off when people are off of him. That's true also.
He'll definitely be much lower owned.
Right,
week.
Yeah. In tournaments, he'll be much lower owned for sure.
I think a good combination if you wanted to play Mitrovic and Ward-Prowse in a lineup, for a high scoring game. But I think it's more likely that's going to be a lower scoring game. But
yeah. So yeah, in cash games, definitely Elise or Bruno.
Yeah, the thing about Bruno, I'd say Jack mentioned it also. He'd probably be on PKs if Rashford doesn't start. So that's another boost if that's the case. Also, Christian Eriksen just isn't going 90s. So maybe this is it's scoreless 70 minutes in. Eriksen gets subbed off, and then you got Bruno kind of taking all the set pieces of Manchester United are pushing. But I mean, I just kind of look at that West Ham game in which, Bruno just, I don't know, if you're watching that match, he didn't really have it. Didn't really look like he was that good, and he still managed the 13-point floor there. So yeah, that's just kind of standing out in my mind. Whereas you could technically think of it the same way for James Ward-Prowse, unless if Southampton get to an early lead or something, and then they don't have to attack, and maybe you're not getting those corners. But I don't know if you want to bet on Southampton get an early lead here, as they are the underdogs. So I would say that it is a little difficult, as Jordan mentioned, that you can't really get Elise, Bruno, and James Ward-Prowse into your team, because what are you going to do it forward? I guess those are the Bobby De Cordova-Reid guys.
They're Bobby De Cordova-Reid Weghorst lineups.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They got the 3 best midfielders, and then they just completely punt at forward and hope for the best, I guess. But people might do that. So for the cheaper midfielders that maybe you do, it depends what you want to do it forward. We mentioned Tom Kearney. I mentioned a couple of these other guys. We had the Chelsea guys. Enzo's 4,800. Conte has kind of been a little more forward lately as well. He's 5K. Those guys, I wouldn't say they're guaranteed for the full 90, just because Frank Lampard, there's nothing really to play for. These guys, they're just trying to get everyone minutes to see what's going on with the team. Does anyone really stand out, though, for you guys in this range? Pedro Neto, if he starts again, is 3,800.
Yeah, but they're the biggest underdog. I mean, I'm not going to play Neto. Yeah. To me, the ones that I lean towards are McGinn and Christie, right? And I don't mind Kearney, right? And then you got Mudryk. If you want to bank on minutes with Mudryk, I think Mudryk has more upside than the others there because of the matchup at home against Nottingham Forest. But don't cry when Chelsea only get 3 corners while up 2-0 because they've scored through other methods. And Mudryk comes off with 4.5 points at the 62nd minute. I mean, just don't cry. But it could be 20 minutes in, and Chelsea have 8 set pieces and 2 goals, and Mudryk has 2 assists, and you're sitting there with 19 points. That could happen also. I think with Christie and McGinn, Christie and McGinn are more likely to be on a portion of their team set pieces and play most of the game in an attacking position.
Ryan, do you think I don't know how much information we have on this, but do you think Gallagher might steal some set pieces? Because we did have the Chilwell injury last week, so I'm not sure those 4 corners for Mudryk if they were on the left and right side. But do you think there's any chance that Gallagher comes in and takes any, or is that he hasn't taken any in a while? So,
well, yeah, I think there's a chance, but I've thought there was a chance for a while now, and it's never happened. Like you just said,
and even his score last week, he scored all those points on literally 1 touch.
Right, but you know,
he played the whole game, and has almost no peripheral points other than a goal. So to me, it scares the hell out of me at 6,500. To if he doesn't end up taking set pieces, that you're sitting there
way too much for cash games for sure. But like Adam said, this is the first time without Chilwell or any left-sided set piece taker, no Cucurella. They already don't have Reece James. So yeah, I mean, maybe Mudryk would be on a monopoly. I'm not sure though. It wouldn't surprise me if Gallagher or Enzo took a couple from the other side. But yeah, not something that I would bet on for cash games. Yeah, I agree with Jordan. McGinn and Christie are probably the safest. I think if you're talking about these 4K guys, Kearney, Paulinho, the Chelsea guys. I mean, I don't mind Casemiro for a little bit cheaper than that if we're looking at those other guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, he's basically biggest favorite, cheaper than same rules as Paulinho.
I probably like Mudryk a little bit better than you guys, but I agree with what Jordan said. He's got bust potential for sure. Mm-hmm. 4 points and coming off at 60 minutes. That happens quite often.
So at defender here, Pedro Porro is 6,600. I was kind of hoping. I don't like this matchup for him, but at 6,600, you kind of have to play him. I was hoping he's going to be, close to 8K, and it'd be okay, we can fade him here and let people play him and spend their money. But he's 6,600. Are you guys, Jordan? Are you just plugging him in 6,600? Majority set pieces for time.
I'm playing 3 GPP lineups, and I'm playing cash game lineup. That's 4 lineups. Porro will be in all. I mean, he's 6,600 in a defender's. It's not the strongest of defender slates. You have the money to pay for him, and yeah, they're a slight underdog. But I mean, if he's going to take nearly all of their set pieces and play 90 minutes, I mean, he's 6,600 and have open play crossing value on top. I mean, in a wingback position, dude, just plug in 12 points, just immediately. Just do that at defender. And then worry about everything else. Ryan, I don't know about you, but when I saw that, I'm I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if he's 78% owned. I'm just gonna play him in every lineup.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't care either. Like Adam said, it's not the greatest matchup, but it just doesn't matter because he should be 8K. So yeah, 6,600, and with the rest of the defenders, I'm just gonna be playing him on all my lineups too.
So your second defender here, we got these Fulham guys. There's a chance Cedric might start for Fulham because, again, they don't have anything to play for. They could give him some minutes here just for fun. And he's gotten a couple starts recently, so that could throw a wrench in things. But if we get Luke Shaw as a left back on some possible set pieces, would that be just your second defender in here at 5,500? Or is it not worth it to play him? But I mean, it's the biggest favorite. 5,500 is still pretty cheap for Luke Shaw here if he's playing left back. So again, it's almost the same situation. It's like, well, he's cheap enough that you almost kind of have to play him here as your second defender in cash games.
Not necessarily. I mean, really what you're comparing with Luke Shaw. Like, understand what you're doing here. So, I don't think in between, like Shaw and then you can't go down from a cash perspective. There's much difference between anything. If you're not going to play Porro or Shaw, you're going down. You're probably playing a Chelsea fullback, which is probably going to be Chalobah and Azpilicueta. They're not that. It's a great matchup though. They're not like appealing, but 3,800 and 3,400, they're underpriced for that matchup. And with Chilwell and James and all these people out, it's much more likely that Chalobah goes 90, Azpilicueta probably goes 80 or something. So why not? Why not take those guys? Shaw at 5,500. Think in terms of you're comparing Shaw at 5,500 to McGinn Christie, right? Who would you rather have there? And then at the Chalobah at 3,800, compare him to a $3,800 midfielder and go, would you rather have like Paulinho or, whoever the hell is down at midfield? So that's kind of what you're viewing it of, like, what are you prioritizing? And to me, I think as of right now, I think it's close, but I think I'd much rather have like a McGinn or a Christie than have a Shaw and then plug in like Chalobah or Azpilicueta in my second defender spot. Unless you plan on like going all the way down. If you want to play like Jose Sa at goalkeeper, then you could avoid that situation completely. But then you're uncomfortable at goalkeeper. But from a variant standpoint, maybe you don't mind being uncomfortable at goalkeeper because goalkeeper is who the hell knows. Or would you rather have the 2 5K options and not have to play a Chelsea fullback and then play the very cheap goalkeeper? Or would you rather play Kepa or De Gea and then have to play Chalobah or Azpilicueta, but you have to get rid of one of Shaw, McGinn, or Christie? So, really, that's, to me, what I'm weighing. And there's an argument for all of them that I'm leaning more towards playing a Chelsea fullback and not playing Shaw, but I don't think it's straightforward. I don't think it's clear one or the other.
I don't know if I can personally play Azpilicueta, but what about you, Ryan? 3,400 Azpilicueta, possibly. If he's in at left back, he did come on at left back last match. I don't know if he can actually cross with his left foot, but
yeah. No, I wouldn't love it. Like, you basically think of him as a center back, even if he's at left back, or at least close to it. But there's merit, though. Like, everything Jordan said, I agree with. But also, I was thinking about, a Chelsea fullback gets me Eze instead of like a Mitrovic. There's that too. And maybe that's worth it. I don't know, though. 5,500 for Shaw, it's a close decision. I guess I'm not sure. I think he can go either way.
Yeah, I was just going through Luke Shaw's game logs just as a left back. There's a reason he's 5,500. I know some of his numbers lately as a center back, they're just not there. But even as a left back, this season is not the same as last season. It's not guaranteed that he's going to get you the 10-point floor kind of a thing. He's more in the 7 to 10 point range kind of when he's played.
He's got a pretty good matchup here. He's got a pretty good matchup here. Pretty good matchup, pretty good price, and we've seen him take more than half the corners at times when he's the left back. So, yeah, it's a tough decision. He was in my lineup, the first lineup I made, but yeah, I've sort of been leaning towards maybe a Chelsea fullback and upgrade forward.
Is anyone else we're talking about here? Let's just run through the list. I mean, these Aston Villa guys are just always hard to trust. If we knew they're going 90, I would change my mind, but we don't know if they're going 90. I mentioned Cedric, Tete, 6,400, 6,200. More of a tournament move with those guys. They are playing Southampton, but but that is kind of expensive right there. Vigna has been getting forward a ton for Bournemouth at Crystal Palace. Just another tournament play there, 4,800. I believe Jack mentioned him on last week's show, and he ended up scoring a goal. Those are the guys that stand out. Dalot, 4,900. Who's the best punt? I'm a big Joachim Anderson fan.
Oh, I was just going to mention that. You stole it from me. I was going to be like, what is Adams? It's the last show of the season for me. And of course, I always make fun of you with your center back garbage. And I'm like looking through, I'm going, I think I like Crystal Palace Bournemouth as a game. So it's like you pair Olise or Eze with Joachim Anderson, and you wait for the set pieces.
I think I'm going to play him in cash
games. You're getting 2 points from him, but whatever. But you could take a shot at 3,100. Why not?
No, how about Rafael Varane for 27?
Back from injury. Yeah.
I mean, well, if he doesn't play, then we won't have to worry about Shaw. Right? I mean, that was Shaw.
But you're right. If he doesn't play, then what? Then Shaw's going to play as a center back.
Yeah, unless
Harry.
Ten Hag goes back to Harry, but those days might be over. But it's
what has happened to that guy?
I mean, it's to the point where
everyone hates him.
Yeah, pretty much, and like the fans are so against him that you almost can't put him on the field.
Yeah. Like three. If you will go back 3 years, it's like, oh, this may be one of the best center backs in the world. Right.
They paid $80 million for him.
Right. And now it's like, dude, just keep him off the pitch at any cost.
Yeah, that's tough.
He just has these notable mistakes that everyone just rips him on for, and he looks like a gump. So it's just easier to kind of rip on him. And it just kind of it's grown, basically. And now he's unplayable for some reason. So
he makes too many glaring mistakes.
Yeah.
And you can't look like that and make those mistakes.
Yeah, so if you want to know about these formations, about Harry Maguire, about John McGinn, we've seen many times over the past couple of weeks where, people come into this slate with Aston Villa and it's like, okay, John McGinn, split set pieces, he's playing on the wing. And then last week, he wasn't playing on the wing. He was a defensive midfielder. People still play him because they don't know that. To get that information, you got to be a RotoWire subscriber. RotoWire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour free trial. And then once you've subscribed, you got to get into our Discord because we'll be talking constantly. RotoWire.com/chat. We'll be helping with that information. But we got to talk about goalkeeper here. I thought we have to.
Do you have Jack talk about goalkeeper. I thought Jack brings out the wheel for goalkeeper.
He said last week that he stopped the wheel because it brought bad luck. But because you're not going to be here for the next 2 weeks, we're going to bring it back for the next 2 weeks. Okay. But you're here. You are basically the wheel because you're here. That's how it goes. But I'm just looking at these odds here. Manchester United, 43% chance clean sheet. Chelsea, 43% chance clean sheet. Chelsea have the best odds for a clean sheet, which is the wildest thing. I want no part of Kepa. It's
more of Nottingham Forest thing, not a Chelsea thing.
Yeah, I know, but Nottingham Forest are going to score off the counter. I guarantee you, Brendan Johnson's going to run past Azpilicueta. They're going to score. That's going to happen. Don't play Kepa. Maybe he gets 20 points, and maybe that I'm completely off. But I think Nottingham Forest are going to score. So does anyone stand out for goalkeeper? I'm going all the way down. I think I'm just going to go Navas, Jose Sa, and spend my money elsewhere. Hope that those guys get 5 saves. Hope they don't get negative points, and I'll be fine.
Cheapest home goalkeeper, McCarthy.
I do not want to play Alex
McCarthy. He's going to shoot 17 times. Why not? And you could say the same thing for the upside of I think Emiliano Martinez, right? Because you have Kane and Son. I mean Aston Villa could win 1-0, and Tottenham, when they're behind, they have no problem shooting from distance and Kane taking bad shots. I mean, if you want to analyze goalkeeper, I mean that's as much as you could really do, right? It's still 5 games, 10 goalkeepers. God knows what happens. But those would be my takes, right? As far as I'm rarely ever a pay down for the cheapest keeper type of guy because, like, they kill you more often than they don't. The only way that they don't kill you on slates when like everyone gives up a goal. Like when there's no clean sheets available, then it's like, yeah, paying up a goalkeeper was dumb. But if out of 10 goalkeepers, I'm not going to be here stuck with Jose Sa or Keylor Navas with -2 points when there's going to be 3 keepers on the slate with double digits.
I was going to say the only time it works this season is when they're playing Chelsea, because Chelsea have struggled so much to score. But
they did fine last week.
That's one game.
I thought that's a trend, Adam. I thought the trend is...
You can't look at last week. Last week does not matter, okay? Does someone need to tell you that, Jordan?
That's what I tell you all the time. When you past 3 games, it's like, okay, well, it'll have to happen again.
Ryan, do you have any goalkeeper thoughts here? Are you playing? Really. I guess, are you playing the high-end guys? Are you looking at those guys?
No, I mean, well, kind of, but not really. That's my main thought is that I'm more comfortable paying $5,800 for Ederson or $5,600 for Alisson than De Gea or Kepa. In that, you can't. I don't trust United or Chelsea.
They're the Harry Maguire of goalkeepers,
right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, we see. It doesn't matter. It's just not going to surprise you if the other team scores. So like I don't mind it, but no, it's not a priority. I'll play any of these guys. Even Fraser Forster, he's fine too. 4,400.
If for some reason you have the money, I would prefer De Gea over Kepa, despite what the odds say. So
what happens if Maguire's in?
If Maguire's in, I'll still be on De Gea because I'm not a Maguire hater like the rest of the world is. So how are we going to win tournaments? How popular, like Bruno Fernandes in tournaments? Is he going to be in, let's say this $5 King of the Pitch is $150. Do you think he's going to be what in this $150 King of the Pitch, Jordan? Do you think Bruno is going to be 40, 50%? You think he's going to be up there too high?
Not even close. Not even close.
Even as the biggest favorite, you don't think people are just going to plug him in?
No.
You're the one that complains about the Bruno donks. Are you sure you're not underestimating?
Well, in the 150, we don't have as many donks.
Okay.
That's the reason.
Okay.
Donks.
So in the main contest, though, do you think he's going to be higher in the whatever it is, 10K?
Well, I mean, probably. I would bet that Bruno will be higher owned in the large field GPP than in the 150 qualifier.
Okay.
I don't know what those numbers are, but that it's going to be higher in the larger field.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruno's going to be the most popular non-defender, right? In every contest, right?
You sure about that?
I know that's my guess because it seems like, that's my question because it seems like you don't think that way, but that would be my guess.
I think
the ownership on Bruno and Olise will be comparable.
We call them Bruno donks for a reason. I think he's going to be popular. More than Olise, I think you also throw in like the Eze comparison, and people are like, well, Eze split, Bruno's Bruno in a better team, favored by more.
My favorite 2 forwards on the slate for compared to ownership,
Carlos Alcaraz.
No.
He's midfield only.
Right. Oh, he's not a forward anyway.
Dang it.
Is probably, if I'm going to pay up, it's going to be Harry Kane. I don't think Kane is going to be very owned on the slate at all.
No one's going to play Kane.
Really?
Right? Kane has hat-trick upside no matter what scenario that you're in. Right?
True.
I'm not a big fan of the matchup, of course. But what's going to happen is that I'm going to have Porro in all of my lineups. And who correlates to Porro? Well, Kane does. So, that makes so much more sense. And the other guy, and we're talking about the game that both me and Adam want to play a lot of, is Dominic Solanke at 7,000. I'm looking at a lineup in GPP where I'm playing 6 players from that game. Where I would play Solanke plus either Christie or Dango, and then play Olise, Zaha, Ayu, or something some type of lineup like that. I think Ayu out of the 4 Chelsea, the 4 Crystal Palace attackers will be the lowest of the 4 owned. I think Olise will be number 1. I think Zaha will be number 2. Eze will be number 3, and Ayu will be number 4. And I think the ownership gets spread around enough that Olise will be the highest owned out of the 4 by a significant margin. And then the other three it'll be something like Olise is going to be like 38% owned. And I'm talking about the large field. Like Olise would be like 38. Zaha would be like 22. Eze would be 16 and Ayew would be 8. Like it would like look some type of dynamic like that. And then Solanke will be, I think, sub 10%. I think Christie will be like 18%. I think Dango will be like 14%. And like play 5 or 6 of those guys and just hope for a 3-2 game. And then you're going to say, people are going to say, but they have nothing to play for. This is your pre-king of the pitch strategy update that I want to make sure that you guys mention.
Good. Let's get this. Yeah.
When teams have nothing to play for, people automatically assume that means offensively. They go, well, these teams have nothing to play for, so they'll go out and they're not going to try very hard. So, they're not going to really go on up. Like, dude, how about defensively? We see all the time in the last game of the season where the game where neither team has anything to play for ends 6-3 because the defenders have nothing to play for. So, like, it's so much more fun for the players, statistically also, to go out and try to score goals. And if the defenders are like, well, there's really no incentive to really us playing that well. So if I miss a marking assignment, so be it. If I don't give it my all in this tackle, I'm not going to give it my all. I don't want to get injured in the last game of the season, right? And then we get a game where a team scores 7 goals because of it. So, like, I look at that and, like, if you're going to give me the teams have nothing to play for, you have to at least think of it in terms of defensively as well as offensively, if anything.
Ryan, you're playing this Southampton Fulham match the same way, correct?
How are you playing it?
I'm asking you. You're going to tell me how I should play it.
The same way as Palace Bournemouth, or what are you saying?
Yeah, the same way. I mean, we got Southampton, need to win. They're going to be pushing. Fulham don't really care, so they're going to be fine with whatever. So I'm just trying to figure out like what Southampton pieces you actually want, because we have the Shea Adams updates who may not play. We have Alcaraz has been good at times. Sulemana is Sulemana. We got Theo Walcott.
Okay, yeah. I will have some pieces of that Southampton Fulham game for sure. Like the guys who's going to play if Che doesn't start? I don't know.
Sulemana started a couple games ago, so
I would take a chance on Sulemana. I don't think many people would play him. I don't think many people would play Alcaraz, like you mentioned. I know he's midfield, but I think that's fine. I mean, you guys.
Southampton is going to be low owned. I don't think any Southampton player will have higher than to be double-digit owned in any way. Yeah, James Ward-Prowse may get to like 12, right? Maybe you'll see a little like 12, 14 on James Ward-Prowse. Everyone else is going to be single-digit owned.
So yeah, I'll have some interest in those guys for sure. The guys who I think have the best chance to score.
Are you playing James Ward-Prowse in most of those lineups where you're throwing a forward? Okay.
Not me. Not for 9K. And I wouldn't pair him with a forward either. James Ward-Prowse, if I played him, it'd be with like Mitrovic. Like
it would be in the scenarios where the game flow is that
get the
Fulham has scored and Southampton need to bomb forward, and James Ward-Prowse ends up getting like 14 crosses and a penalty kick or something, or a free kick goal type of thing.
Like last week when they went down and chased the whole time, and he finally had a big game. Oh, against Forest. Yeah. Yep. That was against Forest too.
Yeah, so when Kearney gets his brace, you'll want that, and then you just want the 20 crosses from JWP and then all that.
I don't know no Kearney brace, maybe Mitro gets a goal. I guess the one other guy I'll throw in is Ollie Watkins, 78.
I tried that last week. It didn't work.
Yeah, maybe
away from home.
Maybe it works this time. Same price. Not that many people will play him.
Tottenham, so obviously Spurs are giving up a good. I mean, Spurs probably lose this game because they're Spurs.
Right. You never know. Like these matchups with Tottenham. Yeah, we've seen they can be 2-2. Very easily.
So is that what you're thinking? You're thinking goals in that game?
No, they could be. I don't know. Like you never know what you're going to get with Tottenham, but sometimes it's been like that recently. If there's an early goal, they just it'll go back and forth.
But we also know with Villa that, like, this game most likely, like, it's more of a game flow thing. Like, I would think that the median result, it's more likely that this game is low scoring.
Right.
Right. It's more likely that Villa play conservatively. Tottenham, this seems like the type of game where neither team wants to give up the first goal rather than score the first goal. But if a team gives up the first goal in the 7th minute, like, then the game just becomes completely wide open, right? So it just matters of when that happens. And if it doesn't happen until the 80th minute, well, from a DFS perspective, you're not looking so hot. That's why I look at the Bournemouth Crystal Palace match as more of the match of, like, if I had to guess on, like, what game scores the most goals and has the earliest goal, it would be in that. Like, to me, that's the game where, because I mean, like the Chelsea and Man United games, it's like, well, Chelsea or Man United score first, I don't necessarily trust Forest or Wolves to even, like, oh, well, now we have to do everything we can. Like, we're still going to play.
Matter.
Right. It's not going to matter. I think the Bournemouth Crystal Palace game, like, whoever scores first, the other team's going to be like, oh, you punched me, now I'm going to punch you. And then next thing you know, it's the 3-3 game.
Yeah. What do you think of Villa Spurs, Adam?
Well, you got Kits and Wagers. Me and Jack Burkhart talked about that match. Betting podcast. Also got an article on that match. RotoWire.com. Check that out. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think Aston Villa are going to win. That's the spoiler there. But Aston Villa haven't allowed a goal in their last 5 home matches. I think Den Donker or Kamara is going to come back in the midfield. And I think it's just going to be kind of a safe match. And even if Villa score early, I don't think that they're a type of team that will be, just sitting back and letting Tottenham just cross it 30 times kind of a thing. Maybe in the final 10 minutes, but I don't think it's going to turn into a 3-3, I guess is kind of what I'm trying to say here. But are you going to have a Brennan Johnson lineup? We got to. No? This is a perfect spot for Brennan Johnson. Ryan, you're playing Brennan Johnson, right?
I think no. I'm gonna have to. I'll leave Brennan to you on this one. Yeah.
Morgan Gibbs White.
Yeah.
Awani.
Morgan Gibbs White 8,900. I'll leave Morgan Gibbs White to Jack. Jack was very excited about playing 8,900.
Do you guys trust Chelsea now after they got one win? Do you trust Chelsea? Is that what's going on?
No, I don't. We don't trust, but we got to trust someone. I mean,
no, but if maybe if it was a 3-game slate instead of a 5-game slate,
there's just too many other things.
I'm just not going to get there. I don't mind it, but like I don't mind it from an ownership point of view. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to get there.
And then we kind of haven't really mentioned this Manchester United match in terms of tournaments, and that's kind of just because of who they are. But does anyone really stand out here? I guess if Rashford starts, are you looking at Rashford, Martial, Antony, Sancho? I mean, how much are we even looking at Christian Eriksen? Used to be a pretty popular player. Now it's just not really there. Are you guys looking at any of these guys, Jordan, for tournaments, or just kind of hope that it doesn't turn into like Bruno 30 points and that kind of a thing?
Yeah, I think a Man United could win 2-0 and no one is needed.
Right.
Doesn't mean anyone can, but I mean outside of all their attackers can be replaced at any time. So it's like I think it's more likely that other people play them. I think it's more likely they're over-owned than under-owned. And with playing, 3 GPP lineups, I'm just going to go, okay, Man United. Like, I'm not going to need anyone. I'm not saying that they're going to do poorly, but like if Jadon Sancho ends up with 13 points, like I can find that elsewhere, right? Even if Martial ends up with a goal and he's sitting there with 16 points, it's like that doesn't kill me, right? At 6,300. I mean, I'm just hoping no one puts up 20, 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to need him. And I just think they're over-owned for those probabilities.
I will say if Sabitzer starts because of this Rashford injury, he's only 3,900 at midfield. So that is one guy I think about considering because he has been pretty good when on the field. He's been in kind of an attacking midfield role, and that would move Bruno out to the wing. So just something to look at in case that happens. But Ryan, You got any standout plays here? I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about everything, but just one guy that it's coming into your lineups more than others. Is it the Ollie Watkins, or is it someone from Crystal Palace kind of thing?
I am hesitant to say who it is because I lose money with this team all the time, but like a Chelsea guy, maybe Mudryk, someone like that. I want the Chelsea sets for 5,700. I mean, this is the best matchup they could have, right? Home against Forest. I know Chelsea have been bad, but they scored some goals last week. Maybe they're gaining some confidence. Mudryk has got to do it sometime, right? I mean, he's taken a lot of shit. I think some fair and some unfair, but like Forest, they're a great team to play against for DFS because no matter how bad Chelsea are, it's not like Forest are going to ever really be having too much possession or on top for too long of periods. I mean, so they're just going to give up chances. So, I'm going to go back to the well and take some chances on some of these Chelsea guys probably. I like everything you guys said, but yeah, I do like Ollie Watkins because while I agree with you guys that game probably is low scoring, but it also just might not be. It's one of those, like a Villa home match like this against Spurs. That's sort of a spot where, okay, let's see where we are. It's been a good season. We can test ourselves at home. We've seen Villa come out and blitz some teams like that. Remember that game against Newcastle? I mean, you just never know. It wouldn't surprise me because Spurs, they've started some games pretty poorly. I remember they went on a long run where they just were losing at halftime in every single game. And so, yeah, it just wouldn't shock me.
5-0 Aston Villa. Okay, let's do it.
No, but like a couple goals, maybe 2-0 at halftime.
Yeah. Kits and Wagers, Jack Burkhardt had a bet on that match specifically like that. But we got to get out of here. Jordan, unless you got anything else, I think you gave your tip for the final match day of the season, but you got to get out of here. You got to start packing. You got to start buying some winter clothes, which, it's not easy at this point in the season. Yeah, I've been reading your tweets. I know what's going on.
I got them I got a hat and gloves via Amazon, but it turns out
okay.
it looks like there's actually going to be decent weather. Like the first 2 days are going to be in the 70s. So like,
holy cow. Well, I guess that's Seattle. So
right, Seattle and Vancouver, and the highs on like even like Juneau is like 66 and the low is 52. No. So like I'm not even sure if I need any of this.
Not bad at all. Shorts, t-shirts. You're set. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching this RotoWire.com/soccer trial free 48-hour trial. You can find Jordan at BlenderHD on Twitter. Ryan is at Ryan Belongia. I am at Zdroik. Thank you for watching. See everyone in the Discord, RotoWire.com/chat. Good luck this weekend. We got 2 more Saturdays before the final weekend. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jordan.